This is another course, data analysis with Power BI, and it's a very, very interesting one. I'm sure so many people will be excited about this course. All right, so we would get started now. I don't know if you can all see my screen. If you can see my screen, can you just drop a message on the chat or give me a thumbs up so that I'll be sure that you're seeing what I'm displaying. Okay, great. All right, great. Thank you. Uh, all right. Okay, so we're gonna get started with data analysis with Power BI, and I'm sure we all got the invites to for people that just chose this course, data analysis with Power BI. We sent a separate invite to join the LMS, but for people that enrolled for the data science program, the full data science program, you're just going to continue with your previous LMS access. All right, so we should all have access to the LMS. So today would basically be for some general introductions, and I'll be taking you through the basics of data analytics, and then about the Power BI, and then some installation instructions, how to get started with Power BI. All right, so I would like to show the LMS so that you all would be able to follow through. I mean, you should be able to follow me as I proceed. All right, let me share my screen. Okay, so this is the LMS, and today on the page, we have the installation instructions for Power BI. So because Power BI is one of Microsoft's service tools, and it's not entirely free on the normal Office 365 web version for people that use the Office 365, the free version of Office 365. So for you to access Power BI, have you have to have a full Office Microsoft 365 subscription. And if you don't have a full Microsoft 365 subscription, there are other ways to get Power BI installed on your system. So the ways at which you can get Power BI installed is to either join the Microsoft. There is this Visual Studio Developer Essentials program that you can join, so as to have access to all of Microsoft's Office. There are some developer tools that you have and you can have access to when you join that program. So you can either sign up. There are two ways. You can sign up for a free Microsoft Fabric account. So let me click on this URL so that you can see this platform. And then you can click sign in for free or start free. When you click start free, it brings you to an interface where you have to sign up. Because I have an account on this platform, so that's why it's leading me to just sign in. But if you don't have an account, you have to sign up for with your account. But then this particular interface, this particular application takes just official email addresses, whether your school or your organization account. So if you have an official email address, you can use this approach to install Power BI. So when you sign up on this platform, then you can enter, I'm going to enter my password. Okay, so it's going to bring you to this web interface. And here, once you get on this interface, you would have access to Power BI web service. And because you're accessing the free version, you can easily download Power BI on to your system. So it's just taking a little while to load. So while I'm trying to show you the installation, how many persons have Power BI? Do we all have Power BI installed? If you have Power BI
No.
installed, you can just
No.
indicate.
No.
You could just drop can just type yes on chat if you have Power BI installed. Okay. Okay, I'm just seeing only one. Okay, it's like the chat is not active. I don't know why we can access the chat. All right. Okay, so this is still loading. I don't know why it's taking a while to load, but then let's just hold on and do other things. All right, so after loading this interface, so there'll be a video right on the LMS showing you the process, how to go about the installation. So this is the Power BI interface, the Power BI web service interface. So you could come to this download button to download Power BI desktop. So you're going to be using Power BI desktop to get started with your Power BI development and dashboards and all of whatever you want to do with Power BI. You're going to start with the Power BI desktop. So you need that desktop downloaded on your system. So you can download from this place. When you click download, I have it installed already. It takes you to the Microsoft Store for people using the Windows OS. It takes you to the Microsoft Store and then you can just install Power BI. All right, so let us, I haven't explained that. The other option is to join the Visual Studio. Okay, this is actually outdated. Microsoft is no longer giving free M35 licenses. They've restricted before they give a free M35 licenses. So this will be updated on the LMS. So there is this the Visual Studio Developer Program that you can join. All right, so when you click on this URL, you can join this developer program. I'm already signed in, so it's just going to take me to my account. But then if you're not if you're new to this program, you can sign in using your personal email address. So you can sign in using your personal email address. After signing in, it gives you access to so many visual like Microsoft Office development but then you use it strictly for development purposes, not for production purposes. So you have access to Microsoft 365 developer subscription, Azure free credit, and so many other services. And then this is the Microsoft Power BI as well, so you can just use it for free. All right. Okay, so I haven't understood that we all need to, everyone should please install Power BI because that's the focus of this program, and that's what we'll be using for our classes. All right, so today we'll just be going into basic introduction, and then I'll be introducing you to some basics of data analysis and then Power BI, and then we'll take questions. All right. Okay, so let us get started. Let me navigate back to my slides. Do we have any questions at this point? All right, okay. Okay, so let us get started. If you don't have any questions, let's continue. All right. I can see my screen, but can you all see my screen? Can you all see my screen? Okay, Umar, I'll take your questions. Can you drop the question on chat so that I can, take the question during recess? But let me just go back into the introduction so that we can follow the time frame given. All right. So if you can see my screen, I believe you can all see my screen. So let us get started with data analysis, getting started with data analysis. Um, data analysis. Most we are in the data analysis with Power BI class, and then I'm sure we've all heard the word data and analytics, right? And during the mentorship session, our mentor did a very good work, helping us to understand what data analysis is all about, all the career paths and all of that. So I'll just be going through just the refresher so that you would have, more in-depth understanding of what we are here for. Okay, so data, you notice that every day, every minute, every second, we have lots of data being generated. There are several data as you're signing up on the websites. Your data is being stored somewhere. You are watching a movie, your data is being stored somewhere. You're making a purchase online, the data is being stored somewhere. Or we have social media, using the social media, you're chatting on WhatsApp, you're chatting on Telegram. Anything you're doing, right? You're generating data. Even if you are not connected to the internet, it might sound really absurd, right? But then you're generating data each day. Everything you're doing, you're actually generating data. And most of these data, they are being stored somewhere. There are ways by which you can curate data, and most times they are stored in, or once you're online, you're stored in databases, one a data warehouse or the other. So we have transactional data in databases. We have social media signals, data from site visits. If you make a product purchase, you're spending, your data is being generated. And most times you find out that in businesses, data and information they are the most strategic asset of a business. Every company would always want to guard its data. They are always after their data. They are after preserving their data. They want to they want to use data to make informed decision. You think of even when you want to go out, right? You're you maybe you want to make a decision to go out or not to go out. Probably you have an appointment and you're trying to think that, oh, should I go for this appointment or not? Whatever decision you're making is based on data, is informed on it. So that's how powerful data is. So when you hear of data, you think of data is not just things that are maybe you're filling a form and your data is stored somewhere. No, it has to do with tangible things as small as you making a decision. You're making a decision. Your decision making process is informed by data. As such, every every organization, they all have a way of protecting their data, and that's why you have a lot of policies around data gathering and data access. All right, but then because of this enormous amount of data that is being generated, we found out that there is this new it's been there's this whole slogan that says data is the new oil, right? And it's like you having crude oil. Everybody wants data. Everybody is about data. Every organization is about the data gathering. And but then once these organizations gather this data, the challenge now is how can we use this data to possibly effect changes within our businesses? What can this data translate to? It's not just about having the data stored somewhere. You find out that even most of these government houses, they are they've been storing data over time of so many, we have so many things stored in their databases, but then what are we using this data for? So a lot of companies, they have the challenge of appropriately using this data, the effective use of data. And that's where data analysis comes in. So I'm going to give a use case of a retail business. For example, you have a retail business that they can decide to use their vast amount of data to track inventory. Example of a retail business is like most of these e-commerce sites that we visit. Let me use Amazon, for example. Amazon would like to use their data to track the inventory of the customer that comes to purchase something, or they track the inventory. I mean, they want to track their products and services, how much product they have online and all of that. They want to identify the purchase habits of their customers. They want to know they want to detect user trends and patterns. They want to see how a particular customer is making a purchase, how often did this person buy this particular product, and afterwards they want to recommend purchases to those customers. They want to determine how to optimize their prices. So all of these business cases, right, they are based on data. They want to identify how to stop fraud. All right. But then with this in this retail business, you find out that with this data gathered, they can use it to check the daily and the monthly sales pattern. They can use it to segment they can create some data segments and check the analysis of day over day, week over week, or month over month analysis. They want to compare the sales of previous day to the last, of today's sales to the last day sales, or maybe previous month sales to this month sales, and all of that. So that's a typical use case of a business scenario. All right. But then the key to solving this data related issue is data analytics. And data analytics involves data storytelling. So when we talk about data analysis, right, the brain box behind it is you telling a story. You want to tell a compelling story such that this story is able to help business experts make informed decision. That is, you want to create reports that tells the story of what the business leaders should do when they need to take an action regarding a data, or you want your business leaders to depend on these accurate stories to tell to drive business decisions. You want to help them drive business decisions. You want to help them make precise decisions with your story that you are telling. But then it's not all about telling a story, but how the story is told is very crucial. So there are different ways to telling a story. We've watched different type of movies. Some people say, oh, this movie is not interesting. Some people say, oh, it's very, very interesting. But the difference between an interesting movie and a movie that is very that is not so interesting is the way of delivery. And that's what data analytics does. When you pick all the pieces of this data scattered everywhere. Maybe it could be in a company, they have their data in a paper format, they don't even have a database, but you're able to, put together all of those data, and then they enter it into probably an Excel sheet or a form of database. They store it, and not just storing it, they're able to make some analysis out of the data, and then you're doing some sort of visual. I'm going to get to that, but I just want to point this out, that the key that you telling a story, right? It's not just about telling story. You have to tell your story very well. That'll be very, very interesting to your audience, and that would make meaningful sense to your audience. Okay. And so as a data analyst, data analysis exists to help overcome these challenges and pain points. And it assists businesses in finding insights and uncover hidden values in troves of data through storytelling. So you help your business to actually uncover some hidden insight. We saw during the Python class that having an Excel spreadsheet before us, you cannot really see so much information regarding that data until you start doing some basic analysis, investigation, you're doing your data analysis, asking questions, you want to uncover some insights, right? And so that process, you're trying to get out some hidden value in your data. But now it's not just you researching, doing research question. You want to tell a compelling story to your business owners so that they can make informed decision. All right. So having said all of that, I'm having to take us through all of this, basics so that we would understand the beauty of what we are about to get into. It's not just building dashboards. It's not just coming up with beautiful dashboards. There is a process. There is something that, we have to, there's a process involved. There is a background story behind it. And that's why I'm making us to understand all of these key concepts. All right. So I'll be sharing the overview of data analysis. Okay, so before you can use before data can be used to tell a story, you have to make it run through a particular process, and that makes it usable in the story. So it's not just telling story now. It's not just picking a data in Excel and just telling a story. There must be a process of preparing that data such that it will be a good enough story to your audience. And that's where data analysis comes in. So data analysis is the process of identifying your data, the niche. Okay, I want to analyze the data in sales, the sales related data. Having identified the data, you've gotten your data, you clean the data, transform the data, and then you model the data to discover meaningful and useful information. So that's when you're doing that, you're already doing data analysis. And then having identified the information, you're able to craft it into a story through reports and dashboards so that you can make critical decision making. All right, so that is what data analysis is all about. Sorry, mute your mic if you're not talking. I don't know why. Okay, can you all still hear me? All right. So as I was explaining the overview of data analysis, we find out that the world is becoming more data driven. The attention on data is very, very large. Everybody's about data. Now you hear of data privacy, data security, and every organization is after their data. As much as we are all gathering data, this brings more importance to data analysis as a whole. You find out that the world is becoming more data driven. So storytelling through data analysis is becoming a vital component. And that's why you have many organizations, they would always demand data analysts. They want people that can, work on this data and give them meaningful insights with this data. I'm sure so many people say, oh, after all, we have the chat GPT now these days can even do data analysis for you, right? They'll say, okay, you don't need, there are some times that you hear that there are some skills that AI is going to push out of the way, or not data analysis, not machine learning, because I see AI as more of supportive. It's going to aid your work. It's going to help you, focus on what matters. You're going to use AI tools as a very good data analyst. You can use your AI tools to your advantage. That AI to help you to do some part, and then you focus on more technical and important part. So it's not one of those jobs that AI is going to push out of the way. All right. So I'm going to be talking about the core components of data of analytics. I'm sure you've heard me talk about predictive analytics and maybe descriptive analytics. So I'm going to be sharing the different components of analytics. And we have the descriptive, the diagnostic, the predictive, prescriptive, and cognitive. I'm going to be sharing what this mean and what their differences are quickly. Okay, so when you're analyzing data, right, there are different ways to analyzing data. And the first part is the descriptive analytics. And what descriptive analytics does is that you're trying to answer questions about what happened based on historical data. So that's when you get a data. For example, when we were doing Python for data science, and we started doing for people that attended the data science, I mean the Python class, by the time we started importing our data sets and we started investigating, asking questions, we want to find out some key things within the data. What you're doing is you're trying to do some descriptive analysis. You want to generate a report that will provide a view of a particular story or pattern within that data. You have a data set. You want to find out. You are investigating some things that the data has not said. When you see a data on paper, you have a tabular data of maybe 1 million records, and you don't know all of those data are just in rows and column. And most of us, we are familiar with Excel or Google Sheets, right? You can see a Google Sheet and you see a lot of data set there. But as a data analyst, you can pick up that Excel sheet and turn it into a beautiful dashboard, such that at a glance, your audience is able to see what they cannot see on that Excel sheet. So what you're doing at that time is descriptive analysis. You're trying to answer some question. You're picking on some KPI, the key performance indicators in that spreadsheet, so that it's visible to the audience, such that they can easily understand at a glance what your data is talking about, what the story is regarding your data. So that is the descriptive analysis. Now, we have another part of analytics called the diagnostic analysis. And what the diagnostic analysis does is it helps you to answer questions about why the event happened or why this events are happening. For example, you have a sales data. I'm using sales because most of us, we can relate to it. We all purchase something one way or the other, right? So you have a sales data, and then after your descriptive analysis, you're able to um, investigate, and you found out that in that sales data, you have people purchasing a particular item more than some other item at a particular day of the week, right? Maybe you discover that a lot of people are purchasing PS5 more than Nintendo Switch, because of we don't know, but then that's what your data is telling you. But the diagnostic analysis is now you're not going a step further. You're asking questions of why are people purchasing PS5? Why don't they purchase Nintendo Switch? So that's the difference between the diagnostic. So you want to help to answer questions about the why. You want to help your users or your business experts to answer questions like why are these things happening, or why do we have this event regarding this particular historical data. So it's like it supplements the descriptive analysis. It helps us to know the cause of events, and you do this through by anomaly detection. It helps us to identify anomalies using, you can use statistical techniques to check the diagnostic analysis. All right, so that's what the diagnostic analysis is all about. Then we have another part called the predictive analysis. I think this one is more relatable, right? Because we've heard of this descriptive and predictive analysis one way or the other. So the predictive analysis helps you to answer questions. It helps you to answer questions about what would happen in the future, like you making predictions regarding your data. So now you're getting into the machine learning part of the data analysis. So you see that machine learning is not just standing by itself. There's a process, there's a pipeline. It comes from data analysis. So when you start doing machine learning, you want to answer questions. Now, taking the cue from that sales example, I haven't identified that, oh, okay, PS5 is more highly purchased in the US compared to Nintendo. So this is just an example. It might not be true. All right. So then you did your diagnostic analysis, and then in the diagnostic analysis, you're asking question: why are people buying PS5? Is it because there are some games in PS5 that we don't have in Nintendo, or having done that diagnostic analysis and you have your answers, you now get to the predictive analysis to tell us questions of, okay, will people actually buy PS5 in the future? Is PS5 a particular product I should invest in restocking? I mean, I should invest in by restocking a lot of maybe carving out when I'm doing my budgeting, reserving more money for the purchase of PS5, because I know that people would actually buy PS5 in future. So what you're doing at that time is the predictive analysis. You are trying to make predictions based on your historical data. All right. So you're using your historical data to identify trends and to determine if those things would likely occur or they would not occur. So during this process, you do a lot of machine learning techniques, such as use neural networks, decision tree, regression, and so many other statistical models or machine learning models that would mention in the machine learning class. All right. Then we also have the prescriptive analysis. So the prescriptive analysis, what it does, it helps you to answer questions about which action should be taken to achieve a goal or a target. Now, in the process of you making predictions, there are some key indicators, there are some key factors that actually that actually affects your prediction. So when you're doing your prescriptive analysis, you're trying to find out, okay, what are those things that affect our predictions? What are those things that affects our target? So when you're doing that, you're actually doing your prescriptive analysis. So you're using your insight from prescriptive analysis to make decisions. Okay, for example, with that PS5 example, when you're doing your prescriptive analysis, probably the key factors. Hello, can you all hear me? Hello.
I can hear you.
Okay. Some of us are on me. I mean, our speakers are on. I don't know what happened to the settings, but please try to mute your speaker, please, so that we can focus on the class. All right. So, where description of the prescriptive analysis in the PS5 example. For example, when you've done your prediction, you've done your predictive analysis, and then you found out that there are some key factors affecting the purchase of PS5. Maybe the factor affecting the purchase of PS5, number one, could be the type of games that are in the software, or in that game package, or maybe the console type, or there are some key factors. I'm just using those examples. So when you are identifying those key factors, you're already doing prescriptive analysis, because this would now help you to you would use those insights to drive data driven description. So as a salesperson or as a manufacturer, now you know that, okay, maybe the type of game, the console, so you focus on building better games, making more sophisticated consoles, and that would help you make your decision when it comes to investing in your PS5 game, so that your users can keep buying that PS5 from you. All right. Then we have the cognitive analytics. The cognitive analytics helps you to learn what might happen if circumstances change. What if people stop buying PS5? and determine how you might handle this situation. So it's the cognitive analysis attempts to draw inferences that, okay, what would happen if people don't actually buy this product again? There's a process in machine learning that calls retraining, that's called retraining. You retraining your model, you're taking input from your prediction and then feeding it back into your model so that it can relearn the new patterns. So when you're doing that, you're doing cognitive analytics, you're trying to learn the changes. What are the changes that would occur? So those are the components of analytics. We have the descriptive, the cognitive, the predictive, the prescriptive, and the diagnostic analysis. All right, we'll have time for questions. Let me just run through what I have for this session. Then we'll take our quiz break and then we'll take questions. All right, so from that example of the core key components of analysis, I'll be sharing with you a use case. I'll still be using the retail business, right? So a typical use case looks like this. Your descriptive analysis, you can do a descriptive analysis to look at patterns of purchases from previous years to determine what products might be popular next year. So when you're doing your descriptive analysis, you're like you have a dashboard of historical data, and in that dashboard you're looking you're already identifying some key KPIs that, okay, these are patterns from previous year that could determine what the products might be popular by next year. Your descriptive analytics would help you do that. But when you start focusing on supporting data as to why a particular product is popular, you're doing diagnostic analysis or diagnosis statistics analysis. Yes. So when you, as analytics and statistics also, they go hand in hand. So you're finding out, you're investigating what are the popular products. Why is this product? When you're doing the why, then you're doing diagnostic analysis. Then you can now decide to go further to know if that trend will continue. What would help you determine whether to continue stocking up that product? So you are doing your predictive analysis in that pattern when you start investigating to know if that trend will continue. You want to make predictions whether that product will still be popular or not. All right, so you can now go further to do some prescriptive analysis to determine whether certain marketing efforts or online social activities contributed to the sales increase. So you're trying to do some prescriptive analysis to check your marketing effort. What are the key factors that contributed to this to the increase of that product? All right, then the cognitive analysis is you finding out what would happen if circumstances change. So I believe we get the difference between these different analyses. All right, so that's just those are the basic ingredients of data analysis. And then I'll just touch quickly on the roles in data. We talked about this during our mentorship class, and I just want to touch on it because of what we are discussing. We're talking about data analysis, so I want to bring out the different roles and what they do. All right, so we have the business analyst. So the business analyst is just like the data analyst, but the difference between them is what they do with their data. So as a business analyst, they're actually closer to the business. They are more of specialist in interpreting data that comes from visualization. So the data analyst can do all the data processing, preparation, generating dashboards, reporting. But the business analyst is more inclined to the business. The business analyst the person knows the in and out of the business and is able to interpret that data, pick the data from those visualization and transform that data to something that would yield profits for the business. So usually you find out that in most organization, a data analyst still does a business analyst role. Like you still go ahead to, interpret your data to the business executive, tell them in plain language. This is not just, building dashboards. You're telling them that, okay, this is what this dashboard mean. These are the indicators. This, you're explaining in details, specific details, what your data is doing. So as a business analyst, you do that, but most times you find out that the roles are entwined. They kind of do similar things. As a business analyst, sometimes you might even have to do visualization and dashboarding, depending on the kind of organization you're working with. Okay, so we also have the data analyst. So we had spent some time in explaining what data analysis is and all of that. So what data analysis do is to enable business to maximize the value of their data asset through visualization and reporting, such as using tools like Power BI, Tableau, and Google Data Studio, and so many other visualization application that we have out there. So as a data analyst, you're responsible for profiling, cleaning, and transforming the data, and also generating reports such that will be usable for your organization or to the clients that needs it. Then we have the data engineer. So what the data engineer does is to provision and set up data platform and technology. So this data, right, that we are talking about, they come from somewhere. There's a way you have to set them up in a very structured organization. It's not just the data in Excel or some, depending on the kind of organization. There's some organizations that use Excel, some use different SQL server, Microsoft SQL server, Oracle, and so many other databases like that. So the work of a data engineer is to secure the flow of structured and unstructured data from multiple sources, provision it, set up the data platform. So there are a lot of nitty-gritties when it comes to data and setting up your data platform. So that's what the data engineer does. It's like, an engineer putting bits and pieces of different components together, coupling them, ensuring that they are all well firmed up and just literally like an engineer. So that when we bring it into the data industry, that's what they do. So as a data scientist, you perform analytics, like you beyond and doing your dashboarding, reporting, profiling of data, you go a step further doing advanced analytics, predictive analytics. Like you're going from descriptive now. What the data analyst does is to do descriptive analysis. So as a data scientist, you're doing more of predictive modeling, predictive analysis, building models, machine learning models, making predictions, and such that would be useful to the organization as well. We also have the database administrator, right? It's just like the person that's responsible for the overall availability and performance of the database. So data administrator is different from a data engineer. Sometimes their job roles are kind of related, but their functions are not. What you're doing as a data administrator is different from a data engineer. There's a data administrator, you work with stakeholders because in database management, you have policies, you have protocols, you have access controls, you have so many things involved in setting up your database. All right. So the database administrator work with stakeholders. For example, within an industry, when you enter a bank, the person at the front desk, so like customer service representative, the access privilege the person will have to your account is different from what the bank manager would have, and it's different from what your account officer would have. So usually there are some cases that the customer service would refer you to. Say, okay, go to this particular person. This is the person that can handle it for you. So it's because of maybe the access privilege of that person. The person cannot access some things on your user interface or your accounts, and the person has to refer you to someone else. So the data administrator had actually created some roles that would prevent that person from seeing some things on your account. So it is this data administrator's job, but the data engineer is the one that does the restructuring, the putting together, the setting up of the database. Okay, so all of this, right? I'm just stating all of this so that we'll be able to see end to end the different harms of data analysis and what it's all about. So finally, we'll be talking about the data analyst task. What are you to do as a data analyst? What is the process? most especially using Power BI now as it relates to Power BI. So usually when you're learning a particular BI, business intelligence, power business intelligence, that's Power BI. You are learning a particular BI tool like Power BI. We have Tableau. We have the most common ones are Power BI and Tableau. We have some others as well. So, but then the process is actually the same thing. So the most important thing is not the tool now, it's your knowledge of how to analyze data, because that is very, very key. It's not just to put together graphs and dashboards. You have to know what kind of graph suits this particular purpose. Why am I using this? What story is it telling? What information is this graph going to pass to my audience? Is it simple enough? Can somebody that is not even an analyst, can the person understand what I'm showing? It's not just the beautiful colors of the dashboard. Does it make enough sense to my users? Such those kind of skills are very, very key when it comes to data analysis. So a data and analyst role is one of the several critical roles in an organization. You help to uncover and make sense of information to keep the company balanced and operating efficiently. So the first thing you do, you prepare the data, and I'm talking retrospective to Power BI now. So when you're starting up with a Power BI project, you have a BI task, which in front of you. You would have to get a data. You need to get the data from somewhere, and usually you get it from either Excel, CSV. So for this course, won't be focusing so much on databases, because this is a beginner's program. So we're going to try to keep it simple such that everyone is able to follow through. Okay, so we'll just be focusing on we'll be focusing more on CSV and Excel files. All right. So when you get your data, you need to clean it, profile and transform the data. There's a process called preparation. You have to prepare your data. So I'll be showing us from next class, right? The process, the interface, how and we'll be taking it step by step, how to build all the pieces of what I've been talking about, how to build everything together, right? So, but for today, we're just doing more of introduction to what we are doing. Why are we doing this? Why is it important? So the first step is to prepare, to clean, profile, and transform the data for visualization. No matter how good your story is, if you don't prepare it well, the data is of no use, right? So you have to prepare and clean your data. The next step is modeling. So this data modeling is very, very important. It's one of the most important steps. When you're doing Power BI, you do your modeling under relationships. I'm going to show us that interface when we get there, right? So, but it's the process of determining how your tables are related to each other. So, like I explained during the Python class, most times the real life data, you have them in different tables. And when I mean table, I'm talking about, it could be different CSV files or Excel sheets. You could have an Excel sheet of um the sales record. Then you could have an Excel sheet that has the customer names and their phone numbers and all of that. And then you might have to bring all of those documents together. They have to be connected properly. So that's the process of modeling. You have to know how those sheets are related to one another. How are they actually joined to one another? So that's the data modeling process. So you have to do it by creating relationships between your tables. This step is very, very key, because if the relationships are not done properly, it's going to affect the outputs of what you are modeling, what you're doing, what the visualization you're doing. Your visualization will be wrong if your modeling is not correct. So the next step after modeling your data is to visualize. So after you finish the relationship, after doing the preparation of your data, you do your modeling. After modeling, you do your visualization. So the process of visualization that's when you have to start doing all your graphs, picking all the bits and pieces together, doing different visuals for different use case, maybe different KPIs, you're doing different visualization. So that's where you're bringing your data to life, right? So the ultimate goal of visualization task is to solve business problems. Then you have the analysis phase where you have to analyze your data. So the process of analysis is also an important step of understanding and interpreting the information displayed on your report. So you have to understand the analytical aspect of your data by knowing what each graph mean, how they influence, how are they going to influence your results? Are they really important? There's some people, there's some dashboards that you just put different people just put different things, but they are not so important. They're not telling us a useful story. There are things that maybe we don't even need, right? So you have to know how to analyze your data as well. Then the last part is manage. So there are several when you're doing a data analysis task in Power BI, you have a place where you manage your Power BI components. You have to manage the dashboard, the workspaces, semantic model, and all the Power BI assets. So I'm going to, when I explain introduction to Power BI, I'll be telling us what those mean. So, but these are the 5 basic steps when you're working on a Power BI project. The first step is to prepare your data, model, visualize, analyze, and manage your data. All right, I think I've spoken so much. We are going to do a quiz break. I have to take my time to explain all this theoretical concept because it's also key to what we'll be learning. Right. I could have just go right into just building dashboards, but then we need to understand some key basic foundation of what we're doing and why are we doing all of this. And so that's why I had to explain all of that. All right. So we'll be going for let me take questions, then we'll go for a quiz break, after which would start the second phase of what we'll be doing. Okay, so do we have any question? Okay, Umar, let's have your question, please.
Well, good evening, Ma. Thank you for this wonderful presentation. Ma, my question goes like, is there any way that we can get an organizational mail using our GitHub account? That's it.
Okay,
Thank you.
Organizational email using GitHub accounts.
Yes.
I can't really tell about GitHub account. Like your GitHub account uses your personal email when you're setting up a GitHub account, right? It uses your personal email to set it up. I don't know if there are any, but I think there should be free organizational emails. If you check online, there are ways you could create free organizational email, even if it's for this purpose.
Okay.
I can't really tell about GitHub. Yes, I've not tried that.
Thank
All right. Okay. God bless. Please let us have your question.
Good evening, ma'am. My question is like this. Data access profile, which is created by a data administrator.
Sorry,
Policy.
your mic is very. It's. I mean, you're in a noisy place. Can you type your question? I can't hear you.
Is not.
Can you type your question, please, so that you can type it on the Q&A session. Your background is very noisy. All right. Olayemi, please, can we have your question?
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, thank you for the wonderful learning experience from the first class to this moment. A quick question, please. On my LMS, I don't know, maybe it's peculiar to my own. I can't under the Power BI installation. I can't find the video. Trying to get through the video. I can't find it for the installation. And secondly, there's a place that's why I clicked the first link. There's a place
Okay.
we're supposed to use. We're supposed to, as you mentioned earlier, we're supposed to use an organizational email. So how do we go
Yeah.
about that? So for the whole process of the Power BI installation. And secondly, before you answer that, the about what we talked about last, data analyst task. Is this
Okay.
all these five rows, are they peculiar to just Power BI, or there's a way it is being related to maybe other visualization tools? That's my
Yeah,
question.
so okay, all right. Okay, so the video, okay, the video on the LMS, I'll check what is happening. There should be a video there. So I'll check what what the issue is. Then for what was the second question? The
Uh,
organizational email. Yeah, organizational email. There should be a way to get organizational email. If you try to maybe do some research, there are some free organizational emails you can. There are some sites that gives free organizational emails. Can check Zoho, but I'm not so sure. There I can check Zoho or some other sites that gives free organizational emails. But however, if you don't have organization, I think if you sign up for the Visual Studio Developer program, you should be able to access Power BI. Then regarding the last question that talks about the process, the step, yes, it's similar to other I mean, it's similar to other BI tools. So it's the steps are actually similar. So but what you just been saying in Power BI is that they are different interface, the way you some of the tool, like for example in Power BI, when you're doing your data preparation, you would have to use DAX for your preparation using the Power BI what is it called now? You're going to use the Power Query editor. Yeah, the Power Query editor to edit your tables, and then you use some DAX formulas to do your processing and preparation. So, but in Tableau is not that. You don't use DAX in Tableau, you use something else. So the process, right? The syntax might be different, but the process is still alike, it's still the same. So if you understand Power BI, it's very easy to pivot into other BI tools. It's very easy. But the most important thing is not even just the usage of the platform. The most important thing is your analytical mind, having to understand how you can actually put together different visuals, why are you using a bar chart? Why should you use a pie chart? Why are you using a date picker? All of those things. What kind of story are you telling? So all of those skills are very, very key when you're learning doing data analytics, because that's part of the backbone, that those skills are part of your backbone of data analytics besides just using the tool. Okay, so I believe that answers your question. So we're going to quickly do this. Have I answered the questions? Because of our time, I was thinking we'd finish by 9 with the quiz so that we can go to the next part. All right, so
yes, you did.
please,
The only thing I didn't
uh,
get is the place you mentioned how to get the free organizational email. You made mention of a site I can
yes, I
possibly
made
get.
Zoho. Check Zoho. Check is it Neo too? There's a site called Neo, but I'm not so sure. But I know Zoho gives free organizational emails, but I don't know if it's comes with maybe you might have to have a domain or something. I'm not sure, but just check Zoho or just Google how to get the free organizational email, and you should be able to get it.
All right,
All
thank
right,
you.
so
Please,
let's quickly
you can as well
go to.
drop it in the Q&A so that I can get the correct spelling.
All right, okay, we'll do that. Okay, so let me share the screen quickly. We'll be taking the quiz on that is displayed. Please let's go to that. You can scan the QR code or you visit that link. so that I can start the quiz.
Hello, ma. I'm going to access the chat.
Sorry, ma, we can't access the chat.
Okay, yeah, there is we had some issues with the setup, but use the Q&A. I'm going to use, you can use the Q&A, you can access the Q&A, so I'll use the Q&A.
I don't know if it's general. From my side, the Q&A is also not opening.
It's not opening?
Yes, please.
Yes, it's not opening.
Okay, there must be a problem, but I can access the Q&A from here. Sorry, just a minute. Let
Except
me
we
check
can
the
use
setup.
the barcode.
It says what?
I say, except you can use this in the barcode.
Okay, all right. Let me scan. You can scan the barcode, or let me just drop the link. You can go to slido.com and then go to that, enter that code, you get into the quiz interface. Okay, I see some persons are already joining. I'm waiting for more persons before I start up. Just 10 people have joined. You can join at slido.com 8924 889. We have 11 persons. Let's do this fast so that we can all move to the next thing. Right, okay, let's start then. I think I've waited enough. We're going to start the quiz now. Let me see. So the quiz is 30 seconds. There are 3 questions, 30 seconds for each question. You can start now. The quiz has started. Which data role enable advanced analytics capabilities, specifically through reports and visualization? Analytics through reports and visualization. Have 15 seconds more. I think this should be easy, right? Yeah, it's data analyst. So, we talked about the main focus of a data analyst is they do a lot of analysis through reports and visualization. Okay, let me check the answer. I've just let me check the answer. Let me show you the answer so that we'll all see. Let me reveal the answer. is the data analyst. All right, so we talked about the data analyst being in charge of doing advanced analytics and reporting. Thank you all for answering the question. So we're going to go to the next question. Which data analyst tasks are a critical performance impact on reporting and data analysis? We talked about different data analysis tasks, talked about the modeling, analyze, visualize, and all of the other tasks, the preparation. Which data analyst that has a critical, there's one of the steps that is very critical. If you don't do it properly, to affect the other part of your work. We have few seconds more. Okay, so we're going to show the results. The answer is model. When I was explaining, I said that if your model is not done correctly, it will affect the entire results. The first step is to prepare your data. When you're preparing your data, you're putting together all your different data sets, doing your cleaning, doing putting the data in the right order and shape. And then afterwards, you do your data modeling. Data modeling involves you creating relationships between tables of your data set. So you have to correctly relate. For example, if you don't really connect your tables properly, it's going to affect the results of your data, no matter what you're visualizing and no matter what you're analyzing, because analysis comes at the tail end. After you visualize next, then analyze. After you visualize, you analyze. But then if you don't model your data correctly, it's going to affect what you're analyzing and visualizing. So it's a very critical, it has a critical performance impact on reporting and data analysis. So the last question, thank you all for the answers. The last question is for 30 seconds as well. Which one of the following option is the most important key benefit of data analysis? All right, thank you all so much. We're going to the next step. Sorry, if you're not talking, please mute. All right, so the answer is informed business decision. Okay, glad almost everybody got it. Yeah, the most key important benefit of data analysis is for you to have informed business decision. You want to ensure that your business is making the right decision. They are not making poor decisions, they're making very good decisions, right? So that's part of the key important benefits of data analysis. Thank you all so much for that. Thank you, Maro, Idris, Mark, Maro, clap, clap, clap. Idris, Mark, Bide, Duke, Samuel, Chima, everybody, thank you all. All right, let us go into our next task. And that is, I'll be taking you through Power BI basics, the introduction to Power BI. So that's what we'll be doing next now. All right, so let me share my screen. Thank you for everyone that participated in the quiz. I hope you learned one or two things from the quiz. All right, Power BI. Power BI, that's why we are here, right? Data analysis with Power BI. Okay, as we all know, Power BI is one of Microsoft's tools for Microsoft Business Intelligence tools, and it one of the most widely used business intelligence tools all over the world. You have many organizations for when they are doing their business intelligence, they use Power BI for their, and that's why you see a lot of people are they're inclined towards Power BI. Some people use Tableau as well, but then you find that most companies use Power BI because of the robust it's very, very robust. It supports a lot of lot of integrations. There are several integrations to Power BI. So that's why you have lots of companies adopting the use of Power BI. So I'm going to go next into what I have. So what is Power BI? Microsoft Power BI is a complete reporting solution for data preparation, data visualization, data distribution, data management through development tools and an online platform. So we are going to be seeing the different part of Power BI. We have the online service where when you sign up through the Microsoft Fabric interface, you see that it's going to take you to the Microsoft Power BI service platform. So from there, you're going to download your Power BI desktop, right? So we have the online service tool, which is used for data management, and then you have the the Power BI desktop where you do the data preparation visualization. That's where you do the core part of your data analysis using Power BI. So it's a complete reporting solution. It's used by data analysts, data scientists, but because data analyst job is more of a business analyst job, they are more of creating visuals, building reports, and working on your data. So they tend to use Power BI a lot. So what is it used for? What's Power BI used for? It's used for creating stunning visuals, interactive reports that serves as a decision engine behind projects and organizations, business services. So you have but when we get to the platform, you see amazing and beautiful visuals that you can create with Power BI, and then it's those reports serves as decision engine behind several projects and organizations decision-making processes. So how do you use Power BI? To create reports using Power BI, there are three primary components of Power BI. We have the Power BI desktop, which I'll be pulling up shortly. I think maybe as I'm talking, let me just also be navigating so that it will be well relatable when I'm explaining. So we have the Power BI desktop. So let me just pull up my Power BI desktop so that you can see it. We have the Power BI service. That's the online power platform. We also have the Power BI mobile app. So the Power BI desktop is a desktop application. That's what I said we should all download. And that is where you actually begin your data preparation from. That's the development tool you'll be using. And it's available for free through Office 365 application. So if you have an Office 365 subscription, right, you can download it for free and you can use it. But if you don't have an Office 365 subscription, that's why I'm giving all the other options of using Microsoft Fabric accounts, using an organizational email, or using the Visual Studio Developer Program Essentials program to access Power BI. All right, so you'll need the Power BI desktop to get started, and this is what the desktop looks like. All right, let me share the desktop with you. Okay, so this is the way the desktop looks like. It's a nice interface. So here you have select the data source or starts with a blank report. So if you click on starting with a blank report, so this is just the Power BI desktop. This is the way it looks like. I'm not going into that now because we'll be starting with that from next week, but I'm just showing you what it looks like. Then we have the Power BI service, web service, I'll check if I have that open as well. So if you're using your Office 365 application and your you're using Office 365 application, and we have the free version of Power BI. But if you have to subscribe, there's a paid version as well. The paid version helps you to share report. So for the free version, you're only restricted to developing your dashboard and having it on your system. You cannot publish it online as a web service. So to use the web service option, you have to pay for it. You have to purchase it so that you can share it. So when you see some of the reports shared online on websites, you could share it on the mobile app and all of that. You have to use the paid version to achieve that. Usually, Microsoft was giving out M365 developer subscription as a last year. So if you are on that program, it's renewable after every 90 days. So if you're on that program, they give you license for Power BI, even for the Power BI service, but as a developer, so that you can try to experiment and use it for development purposes. But then I don't know, recently they just stopped that. So they are no longer giving that to people anymore. So most people don't have access to that. So if you need the access for the service access, you have to make a purchase of that. All right, but for what we want to do, the Power BI desktop would serve the purpose. Okay, so maybe in the later class I'll show us the service. But if you want to check the access online platform, it's at app.powerbi.com or through the developer program. Then you have the Microsoft Power BI mobile application. It's a cross-app application where you can also share your Power BI application. So this is how it looks like. This is the desktop. It's similar. This is the desktop. You actually do your dashboards and everything on the desktop first. After doing all of your work on desktop, then you log in and connect to your account online and you publish it on the Power BI service. So on the Power BI service, you can create workspaces. You can have several reports. So when you are building Power BI, a Power BI application, you have your visualization, right? Each visualization on a Canva. This is what I'm showing you. This is a Canva. You have several visuals. If I have a data set imported, I have several visuals on a Canva, and then I later publish it. I can share it. Once I'm signed in, I can share my report on my Power BI service after signing. All right. So, but then I'm not going into this today. So let me just focus on what I have for today. Okay. So let me share my slides so that we can see what I'm explaining. Okay, so this is what it looks like, the Power BI service. Sorry. The Power BI service, this is the Power BI desktop, this is the Power BI service. Okay, and then you have the Power BI mobile. You can publish it as a app on your Power BI mobile application. Okay, so that's the process of the Power BI developmental process. You have the desktop, the service, and then the mobile. All right, so what is the flow of Power BI? What is the process of you developing your Power BI? The first step is to connect to data with your Power BI desktop. So on this platform where I have my Power BI application, I have to connect to a data source. After connecting to a data source, then I can transform and model the data with my Power BI desktop. So the process of transforming is when you take your data into your your Power Query editor. You want to transform, maybe you want to change the date formatting, you want to change some formattings, you want to add some more columns, you want to remove some columns, you want to adjust you want to reduce the data. So whatever you want to do on your data sets, you do it on that editor. After which you now model your data. The modeling has to do with the relationships I talked about. You connecting different tables with one another. So all of those things are done on the Power BI desktop. After doing your modeling, that's when you start creating your visualizations. So you create your visualizations through using different visuals, which I'll be showing you what different visuals mean and what they are used for. You create different visuals, and then after creating your visuals, then you can now publish your report on the Power BI service. So when you publish your report on the Power BI service, people can access it. You can distribute and manage your report in the Power BI service. So in the Power BI service, you have you have a way by which you can plug in your external data. There's a way you can develop your system. There's something called refresh gateway, where you can develop a pipeline such that even if a new data set is coming in, it automatically refreshes the dashboard such that the dashboard keeps changing. It's just like a template. It keeps changing so long as you've modeled it correctly. It keeps changing on the Power BI on your Power BI interface. So that's why you see some real-time dashboards. They are getting feeds directly from maybe a particular database, feeding into the dashboard, and then it's just changing. It's giving you real-time analytics of what is happening based on the way the data analyst has created that pipeline. So on the Power BI service, that's where you do all of that. So it allows you to create high-level dashboard that drills down to reports and apps to easily group related reports to users in a simple format. So on the Power BI service as well, you have your different dashboard. You can have many dashboards on the service, on the Power BI service, and it helps you to drill down. You can click on a particular report, and then you see further details regarding that report. And then you can also group apps together on the service. All right. So we also have the building blocks of Power BI. What actually makes Power BI a Power BI report is semantic model and visualization. I'm going to explain. I talked about the flow of Power BI, starting from importing your data and then taking it through the modeling, visualization, and then publishing it on Power BI service. Now, when you're building the building block of Power BI is when you have you automation. I'm just trying to. Hello, can you all still hear me?
Yes.
Hello, can you all still hear me? Okay, so the Power BI building blocks of Power BI, we have the semantic model and visualizations. So what you do doing semantic modeling is connect to as many data sources. So you can have your different data sources. You can have access. When I take you through the Power BI interface, you'll see you can connect to Microsoft SQL Server. You can connect to different databases through your Excel, through CSV. So having connected to the data source, you can also clean and transform your data to your needs using the Power Query editor, right? And then you create relationship and calculations to you use relationship model. So the modeling part is very, very key. Sorry, I think there was a break in the network. Let me share my screen again. Can you still hear me? All right. So I was explaining that the visualization is the semantic model is very key to your model your Power BI report because you have to have a very good semantic model. Afterwards, you can start creating visualization. So those visuals are different graphs with different key graphs like the bar charts, the line charts, the column charts, donut charts, different type of charts that you can use, and then you'll have that on your Canva, and those visuals can be drilled down or further filtered. After which you're done with your visuals, you can now publish them on your Power BI service. So that's actually the process. So the building block is the semantic model and the visualization. Okay, so finally, we have the Power BI service, which I was trying to explain as well. The Power BI service, we have it's a simple and interactive user experience to take your data analytics to the next level. So here, under the Power BI service, you have the workspaces. I was trying to open my own service. Let me see if it's open now so that I can show you what it looks like. I'm going to show you the service shortly, trying to sign into my account. Okay, so let me just share my screen. Okay, so this is what the Power BI service looks like. And you have the different part of the Power BI service. You have the workspaces. So the workspaces are the foundation of the Power BI service. Anytime you're publishing any result, this is a workspace, my default workspace. If you have anytime you're publishing any results, usually you publish it under your workspaces. So it's just taking a while to load. I don't know why, but I think it's the network. So let's just wait for it to load a bit. All right, so you have the workspace, which is the foundation of the Power BI service. If you're publishing any reports after your Power BI the dashboard development, you have to choose a workspace. So by default, everybody has my workspace, which is ideal for testing. That I just chose now. I just chose my workspace, which is trying to load, right? So it's giving me yeah. So here I can create a new workspace, right? If I have a report, I can have the workspace. I mean, have the report attached to this workspace, but there's no report here at the moment, so that's why it's empty. So on the home page, you have different dashboards. You can see different dashboards that have been built with Power BI. Let me open this, for example. This is a very interesting dashboard that was built with Power BI. Still loading. It takes so Power BI is a very massive application. It's if your system is very slow, you might have issues, if you don't have a very strong RAM, it's you might have issues with it dragging. So it needs a very fast processor to load, almost especially when you're using your Power BI desktop. So if you're using it on a 4 GB RAM, it might not be very fast. It might not give you a good experience. So it's usually very good with other maybe a very high capacity of laptops. Yeah, so you might have that challenge as well. All right. So I was just trying to load one of the dashboards on this particular platform. So while we wait for it to load, let me just go ahead and explore explain other parts. So you can explore sample report, which I was trying to do. You can try to explore sample report on the Power BI service. In a workspace, you can create an application, and this application provides the consumer a simplified interface to access report and dashboards. So if you're creating an application, you can have all your dashboards together on a single app. And then that application, you can create it using this interface here. And when you create that application, you can easily share it as a mobile app to your users. All right. So while this is also loading, let me just go ahead to explain other things regarding. So it's I don't know why it's taking this long. Usually it doesn't take this long to load here. So maybe it's my network. All right. So we have the application which you can have where you can have other where you can publish your work. Okay, you can use it to distribute content. You can create an app to distribute your content. Then you can also explore template app as well, where if on this platform you see that when I create my app, if I click here and now I don't want to navigate from here because of this is still loading. You can also explore previous apps that people have developed as well. Okay, and then finally, you can refresh the semantic model. So, like I explained before, that in order to support our ever-changing data, most times you find out that your data keeps changing. Any data that you gather today, even if you've analyzed historical data, there are new data sets that would come up tomorrow and next tomorrow, right? So you can configure schedule refresh of your semantic model using the Power BI service. But most of this services are actually paid for. When you have to do scheduled refresh and all of that, you have to pay for, because most of them are production workloads. So you have to subscribe to pay for it. Okay, so the dashboard is open. So this is a dashboard created with Power BI, and this is looking like a website, but it's actually a dashboard. All right, so you can have links. See here, these are different it's talking about 100 particle productivity tips shared by a filtered team in their PDF report, and then all of that. If you click learn more, it takes you to a new a website, but that's not where I'm going to. So you can see the number one, the productivity scale, right? The start time. If you change it, you see that every other thing is changing on the dashboard. So that's what happens when you're using Power BI. You can see it's affecting other areas. Amount of effort, easy or hard. If you click on add, right, it affects the graph. So because their semantic model is actually very, very well connected, that's why you can easily connect with each of these the visuals. This is a particular visualization, another visualization, right? What areas would I like to improve? You said this is looking like a website, but then it's the underlying model is a dashboard. It's telling you your productivity tip, right? If my productivity scale is between 13 points, 13, it's like 13.40 out of 100%. It's telling me that um I have a utility score of like 2.5 star, and then my amount of effort is if I click easy, right, it's going to give me different things I need to do. I need time boxing, prioritize, move, control device, eat well, and all of that. So and then it's explaining what each of this. So this is just like a typical just like one of those dashboards that were developed using Power BI, right? So that's what you can see some of these things on your Power BI service when you visit this site. Okay, so at this point, I want us to take a quiz break as well before we go into our question and answers again. So we're going to do a short quiz. let's try to all partake in the quiz so that we can, it's about learning, right? We tend to like learn a lot when you try your hands on it. I know that we to it's coming to some of us as very very new. Some persons have not really used Power BI before, or you've not had that opportunity to interact with it. Some persons have been using it, right? So but then all of this you always get to learn a lot of new things when you try your hands on something. So let's try our hands on it. Can you go to slido.com? Sorry, there's a slido.com. Then you can enter this code 1005,078. Try to visit that site. I can copy the out. Let me try to get out the link if I can. Trying to get out the link. Please let's try to join. I'm still waiting. We have like 6 persons. I just dropped the link to join on the chat. You can copy the link. I don't know if you can copy the link. I'm still waiting for some of us. More persons, please. Let's join. We have just 3 questions. All right, so I think we'll have to start because of our time so that we don't keep persons waiting. So you have 30 seconds for 3 questions. Let me share my screen. 30 seconds for 3 questions. So I'm going to start now. What is the common flow of activity in Power BI? Common flow of activity in Power BI. Please let's answer. Common flow of activity. Remember I mentioned, where you start from. There's somewhere you always start from before you go to the final place. Check very well. You have 3 seconds, 2, 1. Thank you all for submitting your responses. I think most persons got it. Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you, everybody. Samuel, clap, 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 clap. All right, let's go to the next one. The next question is, sorry, let me go back to the next question. Okay, it says, which of the following are the building blocks of Power BI? Which of the following are the building blocks of Power BI? We have 3 seconds more. All right, thank you, everyone. The answer is semantic model and visualization. Almost everyone got it, so that means we were really following. Thank you. I mentioned that semantic models and the visualization are the building blocks of Power BI. Those are the 2 key things when you're building Power BI. All right, so thank you, Umar, Ridwan, Oluwadamilare, Idris, Ososa, everybody, thank you all. All right, then the last question. What is a collection of report and dashboard called in Power BI? Collection of reports and dashboards called in Power BI. We have 12 seconds, 11, 10, 9, 8. Wow. Why did we all choose Canvas? The answer is app. I mentioned the Canva is where you design your reports. But on the Power BI service, you have your app. So on the app, that's where on the Power BI service, that's where you have your app. And on the app, that's where you have your report and dashboard all put together. Okay, so the Canva is the Power BI desktop Canva. That's where you put your different visuals. Okay, so I believe we've learned something. Thank you all for participating in this. Umar got this round, and Oluwadamilare, Ridwan, and everybody, Bide, Mide, Bide, Miade, and everyone. Thank you so much for attempting this. All right. Do we have any questions? Do we have any questions? Any questions? Do we have any questions on what we've talked about so far? Okay, so if there are no questions, we will be stopping here for today. So from the next class, please try as much as possible to get your Power BI desktop ready so that, because the good thing about Power BI is as you're learning, you're also doing you're also replicating what you're learning. As you're learning, you're watching the video, you're also doing it so that you get to ask questions even when maybe when you're not clear about some things. And some things about Power BI is sometimes they keep updating some of the visuals. Like what you have last year might have changed from what you have this year because of some of the improvements when it comes to even AI and all of the other tools. So please try as much as possible to get your Power BI installed. Follow I'll link up the video. I'll check the video on in the classroom. I'll link it up as well so that you can follow it as well then, and try to see for people that want to use their organizational emails. Yes, you can. If you have your school email, you can, but if you don't, you can also see how to get one. I don't think that should be difficult. You can try and get one as well. All right, thank you all so much for joining today. So we're going to have our next class on Monday, and we are going to just get right into
Please, I
the
have
use
a
of.
question.
All right, okay. What's the question?
Um, it is related to the LMS. I
All right.
tried to access it, but it isn't working yet.
How do you mean? Are you just is it this is this the first module you'll be attending? Have you been attending the data science module from June 2nd? Or this is the first? Yeah?
This is my first module.
Okay. Okay. Did you follow the instruction in the email sent to you?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you clicked request to join?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.